You are entering a safe space. Please take a moment to center yourself and allow every thought, worry, and care to fall away right now. Focus on taking deep breaths and allow yourself to feel the healing freedom that is waiting to be ignited within you. Welcome to the Loud Whisper Reignite Your Voice podcast. This is your healing space, providing you with hope and inspiration as you become more connected to yourself. Your safe vessel, helping you move to a higher consciousness to reignite your voice and discover who you are destined to be really inside you. I am Isabel Draughon, your host. I am also an author, entrepreneur, and a life transformation and spiritual coach. Most importantly, I am a perpetual student of life, just like you. So let's explore together. Claim what is already inside you. Welcome to the Loud Whisper Reignite Your Voice podcast. This is your healing space, your health and wellness podcast. Thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you're doing well wherever you are and you're being gentle and kind with yourself as you're navigating, whether it's the morning, the afternoon, or the evening, wherever you are. I'm excited that you're here with us. Thank you so much for tuning into the Loud Whisper podcast. For those of you that are new, this is the healing space. We talk about everything humanity. We talk about actually being human beings, because we're in a world now where we've become human doers and we're losing ourselves and people are just really not connected with who they are. So this is a podcast that I created where we talk about everything that we need as human beings in order to thrive and just to feel alive. We live in a world where we've all become performers. And now I feel like it's really becoming such a detriment to our livelihoods, including our children and everybody around us. So I feel that it's time for us to really come back home to ourselves and start living from that space, because that's the space of power. That space that allows you to be able to acquire and really be the best that you can be, but on your terms. Today, I'm excited. Before I even say this, if you have not subscribed, please go ahead and subscribe. And if you think there's somebody you know out there who will benefit from listening to this podcast, do them a favor. Send them the link for them to subscribe. Today, I'm excited, as I'm always excited, but this person, she's an amazing, incredible woman who lives in my community, and wait till you hear about her and wait till you hear about the things that she does. She's the type of woman you need for a girlfriend, because you know why? She doesn't only think about herself. She's thinking about you and the people around you and how you could have a better life. So Dr. Cathy Subber, thank you for being on the Loud Whisper podcast.
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for asking me to come on, Isabel.
You're so welcome. You're so welcome. We're going to have fun, guys. And I'm excited about this episode. For women, even men, if you hear it, please send it to your wife. This is an episode where we're talking about being moms and how we're navigating, but I'm not going to give too much of it. So I'll start first, but let me tell you a little bit about Dr. Cathy Subber. Dr. Cathy has been lighting the way for moms for over 13 years here at the branch. She owns the branch and we'll dive into it, so just hold on. She is the original branch mom coordinator as a chiropractor for over 20 years. Pretty amazing. Dr. Cathy believes an important part of health is having access to support. She believes no mom, and I'm going to say that again, no mom should ever feel alone, which is why she started the branch as a passion project to connect local moms. It has grown into a resource that has over 80,000 moms trust and rely on. She wants moms to have access to quality resources and, more importantly, local friends. If you run into her around Naperville, make sure you stop by and say hello. She's very warming. She'll give you a hug. You will love her. And I'm going to tell you a little bit fun fact about Dr. Cathy. So she's been blessed with 3 amazing boys, ages 17, 20, and 21. Her favorite type of drink, kind coffee. I've never heard of that. Okay, kind of coffee.
It's a coffee shop in Estes Park, Colorado.
Oh, okay. All right. There you go. Shout out to them. Shout out to you, Kind Coffee. And her favorite place is the beach. That means she's my soul sister. That's my favorite place. And of course, her favorite local gem is Go Brewing. So I'm really excited that you're here with us today. As you know, with Loud Whisper, I work with women. That is really my focus. That's my calling, and really to be able to help women just write their own story, live their life, and create the life that they desire. So thank you so much for coming on this podcast and being with us today.
Of course.
So I'm going to jump right in. First of all, before I talk about the branch and what you do, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? How did you get here? Meaning, okay, so you're a chiropractor. Why the branch? What made you really want to do that?
All right. So if I go back to where I grew up in New Jersey.
Okay.
And every summer, just on the branch, we were talking about like your favorite childhood memory. And people posted on the group, and so many of them had to do with swimming. And we went to the pool. And for me, I was outside every day, all day at the pool, swim team, diving team. And then we just hung out till my mom picked us up at 5. And as I grew, diving became my primary sport. And I was invited to go to a training camp in Boca Raton, Florida, that was actually run by the Olympic coach at the time, Ron O'Brien. I wasn't Olympic bound, but I was on the state team in New Jersey. And on the last day of a 2-week diving camp, I hurt my back. I did, one of the hardest dives I learned. I got nervous. I didn't throw it properly. I landed like this flat on the water as opposed to diving in.
Okay.
And that led me to about a year and a half of kind of semi-debilitating back issues, where if I bent over the wrong way, I would drop to the ground and I couldn't get up until someone would help me.
Yeah.
And, when I was 18, someone said, "Dan, have you tried a chiropractor?" I said, "What's a chiropractor?"
Yeah.
And my dad found me someone that he knew from the Chamber of Commerce in New Jersey. And I went in, and after the first visit, I felt like he had taken a knife out of my back. After my third visit, my daily headaches that I'd had for 5 years went away.
Wow.
And very quickly, I decided this is what I want to do with my life.
Okay. Wow.
So I did all the prerequisites. You have to do 3 years, 90 credits before you go to chiropractic school. And then I moved out to Davenport, Iowa by myself. It was the first time I lived away from home. I moved 1,000 miles away and had my own apartment, and graduated Palmer College of Chiropractic in 98, and then moved to Naperville and opened up my practice, Advanced Health of Naperville, in 1999. Okay. So this August will be 25 years that I've been in practice here. I know. I'm like, I don't feel that old, Isabel. I mean, really.
You're not that old. You're so young.
A quarter of a century.
No. I know, right?
Yep.
That's amazing, though. That's amazing.
Yeah. So in 2009, I had an employee named Kelly Thompson. She's actually the original founder of what is now the branch.
Okay.
She had moved from Florida with her husband here, and they became pregnant pretty quickly. She didn't have any family around. She didn't have any friends that had babies. She didn't have any friends that were pregnant. And she kept looking for local resources and couldn't find anything online. And this is before Facebook. This is like, I just had joined Facebook. So social media wasn't the resource that it was today for everyone. And she came to me and said, I wake up in the middle of the night every single night with the dream I'm supposed to start an online community for local moms. I said, okay. So my practice was the community's first business partner. She had a little, started a website that was just a small website, and she made a business card. And if she saw you with a little baby at Target, she'd go up to you and say, "Hi, I'm so sorry to interrupt. My name is Kelly. I'm trying to connect local moms."
Wow.
And in about a year and a half that she ran it, grew to 1,000 local mom members. And then she got transferred to Austin, Texas. So when I talk about, I took it over as a passion project. I was a single mom. I had 2 little boys at the time. And I was a full-time chiropractor.
I was about to say, how did you do that?
Well, and it didn't take a lot to run. It was called Naperville Moms Network back then. It didn't take a lot to run it because it wasn't as large as it is now. Fast forward to today, and it's really my full-time job. It's my husband's full-time job. And we have a team of like 7 people that help run this community and all of the resources that we offer. But going back then, it was pretty easy to manage it in my downtime. And it just kept creeping more and more into my business life. And until eventually I was like, oh, I'm actually doing the branch more than I'm seeing patients.
Wow, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, thank you.
So I love the fact that you talk about no mom should ever feel alone. I really love that. I don't even think any human being should ever feel alone, but I love that you say that. That's such a powerful statement and a clear driving force behind your work. How do you cultivate that sense of community and belonging within the branch?
Sure. So to go back to my own childhood, as I had that back injury, the same year, my mom left our family. And I just went through a really, really tough time. Physically, I wasn't feeling good. Emotionally, I wasn't feeling good. And I didn't feel like I knew where I belonged. And it was very difficult. I remember kind of going into the lunchroom. It was my senior year, going to the lunchroom and not having that core group of friends to sit with, and always feeling like somehow I was excluded, and I really didn't know where my friend circle was. And it wasn't a great space to live in. And so when I took over Naperville Moms Network in 2011, one of the things that struck me so much is how many moms came up to Kelly and I at local events and said, I finally feel like I have friends now. And they said, this one woman in particular, she came up in tears and she said, I have lived in this community for 13 years, and this is the first time I feel like I have real friends.
Wow.
Or people would come up and say, hey, on the group, I posted something about my struggle with my child. And within an hour, I had 40 moms that had made me feel not alone, made me feel like other people do go through the things that I'm going through. I think it's so easy to just see everyone's Facebook page and think everyone's just doing great all the time. And I think about the stuff that even I post. I try to be pretty personal on my page. And we send out a newsletter for the branch. And if it's just my personal story, I will tell you anything. Because I feel like people need to raise their hand and be like, I've been through that. Oh, yep, I went through that too.
I'm so glad you say that. Thank you for saying that.
But as soon as that story includes another human being, I don't always have permission to share that story, just like anyone. So often you see the highlight, right? They talk about the highlight reel that people will share online. And then you think about the deep personal things that they might be going through with their spouse, with one of their family members, with a friend, with one of their children. And that's stuff that isn't really shareable on those platforms in the same way. And so it's easy to think that no one's going through what you're going through. So that's one of the things I love about the branch the most, is that connection and that centralized point. Hey, to start off with, we're all moms, right? And I agree. I don't just believe moms shouldn't be alone. I do believe every human being should not be alone. We are meant to live in community. We just focus on moms at the branch.
I love it because I focus on women. So hey, I do believe every human being needs to know who they are, but I focus on women. So I hear
it. When I had 2 young kids, we didn't have any family in town. We had only moved here like a year prior. This is when my ex-husband and I were together. And if we wanted to do anything, just the 2 of us, we had to pay a sitter, which got really expensive. And I didn't feel as if I had anyone back then. That was in 2002, where I could say, oh my gosh, I need help. I need to take a shower. I need to take a nap. So it was very isolating. And then I was working as well. It was a busy time. It was a great time because I loved having the boys, but it certainly can lend itself to loneliness.
And I love everything that you're saying because number one, first, it resonates with me. Thinking back, even when I had my son, of course, I was much younger. I was by myself, right? And I always tell people that for the longest time, people had coined me. They still do that. They give me this cape as they do a lot of women. Oh, you're such a strong woman. You're a strong woman. You're a strong woman, right?
Yeah.
And it's probably about 5 years ago is when I'm like, where do people get this from? And then I started to realize that because they saw that I was a single mom, obviously I was struggling. I was by myself. So I figured, oh, so they saw me go through the pain of being by myself. So they're saying, you're a strong woman. And I tell people all the time nowadays, I said, I find it interesting that society measures the strength of a man by how much weight they can carry, but they measure the strength of a woman by how much pain she can endure. So when I think about the branch right now, and this is what I tell women, I think it's extremely powerful. Here's why. People called me so strong when I was by myself. Yes, I was young with my son, but what they didn't realize, I was dying inside. I wish I had a group like the branch back then, where I could express myself. Where are the days when I'm crying because I don't know how I'm going to get diapers the next day, or I don't know, you know what I mean? Just all these things that people experience. So when I see what you do, like, it even brings tears to my eyes, because I wish whoever is listening, if you are in the area, please follow. I want you to understand, as women, how powerful it is to ask for help. Yeah. Ask for help. And that's what I see at the branch, right? And I'm also a firm believer, because you mentioned, you're like, you tell your truth. I do the same. And I don't do it because I want people to be like, oh, Isabel. I do it because it gives another woman permission to say, if Isabel can go through that, if Cathy can go through that, now I can speak my truth. Yes. Because a lot of times we feel like we're alone. And I just kudos to you. I think it's such a powerful thing that you're doing. I really wish that a lot more women, the thing about women, we live in shame. So we feel like, I don't want to tell people what's going on. The good thing about the branch, you can actually post anonymous. So if you,
I know,
I love that.
I know. I agree. I think that function is, we get some feedback from people that they're like, why is everyone anonymous? I'm like, well, there's lots of reasons why someone would be anonymous. Yeah. And I just feel like the pros of having that function, because I can turn it off if I want as that group, but the pros of having it on, I think far outweigh the negatives. I mean, we still approve every single post. So we still review them and see, are they okay to share? But I think it's important for people to have that anonymity for some of those issues, where then they're getting all of this support, and mom's saying, oh my goodness, I feel the exact same way. Right. And you talked about, Isabel, you talked about asking for help. In 2019, it just reminded me of the story. I broke my fibula.
Okay.
And I was in a boot and I was in a scooter.
Okay.
And,
Excuse me, guys. Can I ask you what a fibula is? Don't kill me, guys.
It's a leg bone. It's the small leg. So you've got the tibia in the lower leg, and then the fibula is the side bone that goes down into the ankle.
Got it. Thank you.
So yes, I broke my fibula. You learn something new every day.
I learn something new every day. I love it.
So anyway, this is a time where my boys went back and forth between my house and my ex-husband's house. They were, 15, 16, something like that. Yeah. Jason and I were not married. We weren't living together yet. So there are many days that I was just by myself. And I have a whole community around me. I have so many people that I could ask for help. My boys asked, do you need help? Jason asked, do you need help? Friends are asking, do you need help? And I was like, no, I'm good. Yeah. And to go to bed, I always get one of those big Yetis, and I fill it up with ice water. And I'm like, oh man, all right, I got to get my ice water. I got to then scoot over to the stairs and then scoot my butt up the stairs. I had another scooter upstairs that then would take me to my bedroom. And I fill up this huge container of ice water, and I turn around and my elbow bumps it and it drops to the ground, opens up, and all over my kitchen is 32 ounces of water and 50 ice cubes. And I just started sobbing. And now I have to get off the scooter. I'm there by myself. I need to get rags out. I need to clean up this water. I can't leave it on the hardwood floor. And in that moment, I thought, oh my gosh, Cathy Subber, you need to learn how to ask for help. I had people that would help me. I could have said to Jason, hey, can you come stay with me? Like, I don't want to be doing this by myself. But I think you just feel like you don't want to put someone out. I think there's some underlying core issues of, am I worthy of people giving up their time for me? Yes. Right. Am I worthy of that? Do I deserve that? And I think at the root of so many human problems is that core feeling of, I'm just not enough.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
just not, I don't deserve that. I don't want you to be put out for something for me because I don't deserve that. And I think if every human being,
Mm.
moms, women, men, could
Mm-hmm.
work on that part of themselves and figure out how to solidify their own worth, the
Mm-hmm.
amount of issues in this world that would go away would be astronomical.
I am so glad you mentioned that. And everything that you said is so powerful. That worth, the self-worth part.
Yeah.
And a lot of us, I think as human beings, we don't understand that there's a difference between self-worth and self-confidence. So
Yeah.
people have confidence and they're walking around like they're thinking they're worthy. But confidence is based on your skills. So the more skills you get, the more you feel like, am I worthy? So everything that you're saying is true. Self-worth comes from really knowing and understanding yourself. That is extremely, extremely powerful. I want to talk about leaning into you.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that for a little bit.
Yep.
So before we dive into that, I do want to throw in something a little bit. So in your experience, because I know you're a chiropractor and then you're doing the branch mom, so you're dealing with women all the time, right? So in your experience, what are the common challenges or obstacles that moms face in prioritizing their own health and well-being?
Oh my goodness.
How can they
talk about this
lean
forever
into themselves?
Yeah. I think that especially in our area, the demands on a mom, whether they are stay at home or they are working outside of the house, so much of that emotional support for their family leans on them. There are so many expectations on moms. And as a working mom, some of the activities at school were at 10 a.m. on a Wednesday, or, the parade for Halloween. I had to leave my practice, run down to school, wave to my kid for 5 minutes, and then run back. And it was really hard to be everywhere all the time. And then you felt like you're just not doing it right. Somehow I'm just not doing it right. I'm screwing this whole thing up because being a parent is hard. It's a very hard job.
It is a very hard job. And the thing about us moms is that we have, what do I always say? I say from the time we're little girls, we've been taught that in order to receive love, we have to serve. So, and I find it quite fascinating that you brought that up. I was actually watching a TikTok, but this was a gentleman actually talking about it. He was expressing how he thinks it's ridiculous, sports, what is requiring from children. So it's interesting that you just brought up. He said, I grew up in sports. He said, my sons, we don't have Saturday. We don't have Sundays. The whole week they're at school. He's like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's no free time. There's no downtime. Now, for my family, we did not choose that. My boys were each in one activity at a time. They mostly did martial arts, and that was 2 days a week. And then every once in a while we'd have a belt tournament. It did not take over our whole weekends. Now, I know some families absolutely love having sports at the forefront, so I'm not saying that's wrong.
Yeah.
It just, if you're doing it because you're trying to keep up with everyone and you're not doing it because you really are driven, either your children or yourself, really driven to want to live that lifestyle, then that can cause a lot of stress.
Yeah.
And I think at the end of the day, moms feel guilty, to go back to your original question, moms feel guilty for taking time away from their family. Sometimes that's because they don't have enough support from their partner, or they are a single mother and they have to pay for a babysitter to get, childcare to be able to go out. But we see moms struggle to come. We host, mom night outs and yoga and sound baths and co-working events. And so we run a lot of events for the branch because we want to provide welcoming, kind opportunities for moms to be able to meet people in real life. And we see moms really struggle with getting that childcare, or, again, sometimes not having a partner that is willing to take on all that is included with, having a child go from dinner to bath time to bedtime to homework and things like that. That falls on mom for the most part. Obviously, there are plenty of men and plenty of dads that take those activities over and knock it out of the park, but some don't. So that can be a struggle.
Yeah, yeah. And I bet you hear it a lot, especially with what you do at the branch. That's definitely has to be a struggle. So how does a woman, if somebody's listening right now, I want to be a part of the branch. I want to do the things that Dr. Cathy Subber is talking about, but I don't even know how to start. How do I start leaning into myself? Because when we're stuck, we're stuck. When we don't feel good enough, we don't feel good enough. When we feel yucky, we feel yucky. When we don't have any confidence or self-worth, because I've been there. So, I mean, I just sat in it for months and months and months and months and didn't know how to get up. How does someone get up? Because I want to dare the person listening to take a chance on yourself. I promise you. Here is the thing. The world is actually missing out because you feel like you're not worthy.
I couldn't agree more. And once I got to a place where I decided to lean in to what I'm going to call my quirkiness and my weirdness.
Why do you say that?
I am weird.
Why do you say that?
The things like I can go from nothing to just dancing in the middle of a store in front of my teenagers, right? And they're like, "Mom," I'm like, "What? It's a great song. Who doesn't listen to this?" You know, or I'll come downstairs in the morning and sing them little songs, or I don't know. I'm kind of nutty.
You're alive. The world calls you nutty. I call that alive. That's what I call alive.
And once I got comfortable saying, no, these are the things I like. These are the things I don't like. Yeah. There was a time I told this story maybe a year or so ago somewhere, but we started freshman year of high school, which is just such a terrible time for so many, 14, 15-year-old girls.
Yeah.
And I felt so insecure. And we get into this class. I think it was a history class. And the teacher's like, hey, we're going to get to know each other. Well, no, everyone go around, say their name and say their favorite band, like musical band.
Yeah.
And I immediately am like, oh my gosh, what am I going to say? I listened to the oldies with my dad and I like the Beach Boys and Billy Joel. That doesn't sound very cool. And I was so panicked over what was I going to say was my favorite band because I was afraid of being judged for being uncool, I guess. And so the coolest person I knew in 8th grade was Robin Kizik. And she liked Dokken, which is like a super hardcore metal band, which I never listened to one of their songs. So when the teacher came around, I said, hi, my name is Cathy Subber, and my favorite band is Dokken. And we were like, whoa.
You say that?
And so instead of me saying what I actually liked, I pretended to like something I didn't even know about. And it certainly wasn't my taste. And people were surprised because they're like, really? We didn't, figure you for a hard metal rocker chick, And so as I got older, God, the gift of getting older. I
love that. The gift of getting older.
It is the gift of getting older is I feel like I've been a different version of myself every 5 years.
Okay.
I look at my 20 year, my 25, my 30, my 35. I just turned 50 last August.
Okay.
And I know people are like, how do you feel turning 50? I'm like, I feel great.
Good for you.
I really feel like you talk about that leaning in. I really feel like I lean into my life. I have wonderful friends. I don't have no problems, right? I certainly have struggles that I go through. I certainly, we are not some perfect family that does not, go through the ups and downs of life along with everyone else. But I feel as if I've been able to set boundaries with certain relationships that I just can't have in my life, or I need to limit them. And then I have friendship. I always say I'm blessed in friendship. I am blessed in friendship. The amount of women in my life that I have that I could call up and say, I'm really struggling. Can you get together today? That would say yes and somehow make time for that. I feel very blessed in that, but that took a long time to develop. And to attract like people,
That's
right?
The thing. Yeah.
Where you can be yourself, they can be their self, you can mess up. My best friend and I just had this little weird squabble over something. And for her and I, we're just so close and we care about each other so much. We're like, oh, we need to talk about this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And be able to work that out is really great. So once I was able to decide, you know what? There's one Cathy Subber in this world. I think there actually literally is only one Cathy Subber.
No, there really is. Oh, you said literally.
But there's only one me.
Yeah, there's only one you.
I might as well be the best version of me than I can be, as opposed to trying to be a fake version of someone else. That's not new information, right? Plenty of people have said some version of that. But once I truly got that, the depth of my relationships skyrocketed.
Okay. And you got that by just leaning into yourself and getting to like know more about yourself.
Yeah, therapy. I did that for a number of years, right?
Yeah. What does somebody do if they can afford therapy? I tell people, have girlfriends, go to places like the Branch. I believe events like that, I can never seem to make it because I'm always at work in the evening. But somebody say, what if somebody I can't afford therapy? You go to women network meetings. You go to those
you also
shows.
Yeah, you listen to your podcast. You listen to my podcast, right?
Yeah.
There is so much information that you have access to for free that you truly can learn a lot. Books, right? There's a lot of learning to be had without having to go to therapy. Therapy, I think, is kind of, if you find the right one, kind of the fast path. Path to that, because you have someone that truly understands, maybe the underlying issues of why you're struggling with something. And they're like, actually, that really relates back to this. And you're like, oh man, you just connected two pieces of a puzzle that I never would have connected. So, having trusted friends, if you can be open with your friends, and sometimes people are really wise because they've been through similar things, or, they understand, once I learned about projections, right? When someone's struggling themselves, they sometimes project those emotions and say you're struggling or you're doing it wrong. Once I learned about that, I was like, oh, that was a big, that was a key that unlocked something for me, where I got to a place where I don't get angry all that often. I look at someone, if someone's done something towards me, said something towards me that was unkind. I mean, I get a lot of it online just because I run the branch. So, people get a little keyboard warrior when they send me messages sometimes. And I just think, oh, you must be having a rough day. Or, man, I don't know that you got the tools to be in healthy communication with other humans. And instead of me being angry or hurt, I somehow can find a way to immediately flip that to, I feel sad that you are in a space right now. Unless I've done something wrong. If I've done something wrong, I'll put my hand up and be like, oh,
right. No, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
But otherwise, I think, man, I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry that you're struggling. So that's how I try to look at that. And that has helped. That's helped me as well.
That's really powerful. And as your mom yourself, how has your personal journey influenced the way you support and connect with other moms? So obviously, because being a single mom, and we talked about that, the reason why I'm asking this question is just for people to understand that whatever situation you're in, whatever your journey looks like, whatever the environment is, there are people out here who can support you. Right? Yes. Who are there for you. I mean, look at Dr. Cathy Subber, right? She has children. She went through a divorce. You just heard her story, but it's because of her having the courage to reach out, or just even creating the branch, that she's able to be in the community and just help other women.
Yeah. You have to be brave.
Yeah.
It takes being brave to walk into a room where you don't know anyone.
Yeah.
And just start saying hi. It's not an easy thing to do. And, I've been networking in Naperville for 25 years. And every once in a while, I go to the bathroom just to take a breather because it's a lot. Right. And I walk into a room, especially a chamber of commerce room, and I know 50% of the people. So I'm past the point of the nervousness that I'm not going to know someone, or who am I going to talk to? Sometimes it's just a lot to keep that energy going. And it can have like a few moments of that overwhelmed feeling. I'm like, I have to go to the bathroom. And I'll just kind of like sit there for a few minutes.
No, that is real, because you are dispensing a lot of energy, right? And the different people you're talking to, you said,
I remember the first time you and I met in person, though, Isabel. It was at the Women in Business. And we had been talking kind of online or through email, and then we were in line together, and we realized each other, and we were like, hug. We were like, oh.
We just started talking to just yapping. I'm like, oh, I love her.
I said the same thing.
But anyway, I'm not going to keep you long, but I do want to say this. I do want to emphasize, especially with what Dr. Cathy does and I do as far as women are concerned, it's really important for all the women out there, obviously this podcast, we're talking in general about women, that you are needed, that you are loved. And it doesn't matter what you've been through. So it's like the branch, right? I wish if you've not subscribed, and she's actually gone to different states, I'll have her tell us that really quick before we close it out. I dare you today to do something for yourself and reach out, or just even like it. So at least you can be getting the messages, and maybe one day you will see something that will give you the courage to get up so you can meet other people. We're not meant to do life alone. What you've been through should not cover you with shame, because I guarantee you something. Dr. Cathy, you probably agree with me. We can be in a room of 35, even 100 women, and we all look different. But boy, when we start telling those stories, you would think we all come from the same mother and the same father, because we're experiencing the same.
We're definitely more alike than we are different.
We're definitely more alike than we're different. So just please reach out, do that for yourself. This is why we do this podcast. It's just not for us, to be able to encourage you. And as she mentioned, there's only one Dr. Cathy Subber. Like she said, literally, but truly, God only created one person. That's Dr. Cathy Subber. And guess what? God only created one of you, and the world needs you. If you're in our area, in Naperville or the other spaces, the women in the branch need you. They need to know your opinions, how you're feeling. So just get up and start living. So Dr. Cathy, I want to ask you this.
Yep.
The first question is, before we wrap up, I have two questions. Can you just please let us know really quick, in what states are you in right now, the branch, and also, or what areas? Because I know you've been branching out. I would love for people who are in other states, if they listen to this podcast, to know that they have a place they can go to, not to just get help, to connect, community.
Yeah, to connect.
Yeah.
Yep. So the best starting place is to go to our website, because that has all of our resources on it.
Okay.
So the website is thebranchmoms.com. And from there, you will find all of our locations. We started in the Naperville area. We expanded into the Tri-Cities, which is Geneva, St. Charles, Batavia. We've been there for a little over a year now. We just expanded into the Chicago Southland area, to like Orland Park, Tinley Park, Flossmoor, Homewood area. And then we are in a part of Florida, Columbus, Ohio, and Denver, Colorado. So those are the first areas that we've expanded to.
I love it. There you have it, people. And I will make sure all her information will be attached when we post the podcast. You'll have all her information, including the branch. So looking ahead, what are your hopes and aspirations for the future of the branch and the moms that it serves?
You know, it's funny. The first person who asked me, where did I see the branch in 5 years, was, again, my best friend, Emily. And right after we switched from Naperville Moms Network, we rebranded as the branch, as we literally branched out into other communities, because it was too hard to have Naperville Moms Network and Plainfield Moms Network, and too many towns, right? So we wanted something that was a little more cohesive. And I had to think about it for a little bit. And what I have done with the branch since the moment I started running it in 2011 has been to just listen to the community and figure out what it needs. And sometimes what that looks like is we just branched off a divorce moms group, because the main group was getting very heavy with a lot of divorce posts. And not that I don't want that main group to be able to be that support, but there was enough people that I was like, you know what? I think we should just start a whole nother group.
There you go.
And so now that's a very active group. We have divorce mom socials for those supports. And some people are walking in and they're like me. I've been divorced for 16 years, so I'm way on the other side of it. Some women are walking in tears going, I don't know who to talk to. I don't know. And it's amazing. Every single one of these events, it's been very dynamic. Someone has really been helped in that moment, which is wonderful.
I love it.
And then, so sometimes I'm just listening. What do we need? What other resource could the community need? We have a daily events page for every location that just every single day there's 5 to 15 local events that you can go to. And every single day people can pull it up and be like, what can we do today? What's going on this weekend? So that's something that our team puts together on an ongoing basis. So that came out of, what does our community need?
Yeah, yeah. And I love that. As we come to a close, I first want to say thank you so much for taking the time and being in this space. But I want to leave you the floor to give the women out there your last words, whatever you feel is in your heart, to share with them, whether how they can lean in or whatever. But the floor is yours.
Well, first, thank you for having me. This has been awesome. And I knew it would fly by.
I know, me too. I'm like,
I'm like, what time is it? Oh my gosh. I think at the heart of what I would love every woman to feel is that you are worthy of being loved. Mm-hmm. You are worthy of being cherished, and you are worthy of being wanted. That really resonates with me. I've put those pieces of a puzzle together throughout my life, and I have not felt each of those things at some point in my life. And I have searched ways to find that for myself. Sometimes that's in ending a relationship. Sometimes that's in getting some therapy or some support or learning more about myself or growing, in who I am. But at the end of the day, today, I can say that I feel that I'm worthy of being loved, I am worthy of being cherished, and I'm worthy of being wanted. And that took me a long time to get to. So that would be my wish for each of you.
There you have it, everyone. Dr. Cathy Subber, thank you so much for gracing us with your presence today. Thank you for doing what you're doing, for creating space for women to be, for women to express themselves. As you know, Loud Whisper, it's about speaking. Use your voice. And on the branch, you could use your voice. And like I said, I love it because you can anonymously use your because people don't, here's the thing. I see people saying, but why? People don't understand. As an abused survivor, I guess I would put it, as somebody who has been abused, it's not easy to say somebody hit me last night.
Yeah.
It's not easy to say somebody forced me or somebody. It's not easy to say that because it's just not easy. So some people understand and some people don't. I appreciate that you give the women, the opportunity or even give them the space and the power to be able to use their voice even when they feel ashamed. And I'm so grateful for everything that you do. And again, thank you. Thank you again so much for joining us today. Thank you for listening to the Loud Whisper Reignite Your Voice podcast. If you enjoyed today's show, please be sure to subscribe so that you never miss a conversation. I would also be honored if you would consider leaving a positive rating and review on Apple Podcasts. As always, you can connect with me through the links in the description. Thanks again for listening. We're so glad you could join us today and look forward to supporting you on your greatest journey. Have a great day.